I kick ass for the Lord.
What about me?
I never loved him the way that I love you. Just drops the mic.
Bit me with his butt.
Can't see it from here.
What about the panty?
What about the panty? What's up, I cut it off because I forgot all about it. But hey, welcome in everybody. We're doing a little midweek stream this week, a little bit different, bonus episode, as you will. And just want to welcome everybody in for this week. We're talking about we're diverting a little bit from the year 1993, and we're going to be talking about some other movies that are probably a little bit better than what we have been talking about in the most recent weeks. We're going to be talking about Tarantino, Quentin Tarantino, and his films, all of them, and we're going to be doing a discussion and ranking and arguing about all of these, and we're going to bring in our guests, our co-hosts of this, who are going to help us decide this, along with the chat and people in the chat. I'm bringing along the brothers Grimm, Joseph and Steven. They're going to be joining me now. So I'll go ahead and put them up on the screen here, see how this looks and how everything is going. So welcome in, guys.
Hello, hello.
Steven, can you hear us? Are you talking?
Hello.
Hello. And our third co-host will be the chat and see what they have to tell about us. So let's get a little background around this. I think, Steven, you were the one that suggested this. Maybe it stemmed from a conversation that you and your brother had. So just give us the nitty-gritty on that.
Yeah, me and Joseph were at a show in between bands. Do you remember how it came up? No idea how it came up. But the conversation started, and it was one that I not only wanted to finish with him, but then also, within the next couple of days and talking to you, wanted your opinion on. It's just we've got a lot of good movies to discuss, and it's interesting, how you can maybe sway people one way or the other on the rankings of these. So yeah, I brought that to you, and then the idea to do it here came about pretty quick, and I'm excited to see what you guys think.
Here we are.
Here we are. Well, I think when we initially talked about this, we were going to do Quentin Tarantino has said himself he's done 9 movies. He wants to do 10 and then retire. Now, you can see on the screen here, there are 10 movies listed. That is because Kill Bill was split into 2 separate movies and released that way. But he sees them, Quentin Tarantino sees them as one whole movie. The whole bloody affair, I think, is how it's often credited as. So we're going to be talking about these movies. We can discuss Kill Bill as it is a one entity. That is not something that we can't escape or anything. We can talk about it like it's 1. We can talk about it like it's 2. I think it's good to talk about the separation between the 2 movies because they are very different. I think I'd briefly spoken with Steven about this earlier, about how one is a completely different genre than the second film. So we can treat it as one whole in our rankings. That's not hard to do. You just put Kill Bill 1 and 2 as right next to each other in the list, and then we'll go from there. But as you can see on the screen, we've got several movies to choose from, starting, and I'll run through them really quickly. First and foremost, we have Reservoir Dogs, which was, I believe, the year before we started in 1993. So came out in 1992. Pulp Fiction in 1994. Jackie Brown, I think that one's 97 or 8. Jackie Brown's the third one there. And then Kill Bill 1 and 2 I think came out in 2002, 2003, somewhere around there. Inglorious Bastards, I believe, is next, followed by Django Unchained. Or no, sorry, I skipped ahead. Death Proof was before Inglorious Bastards. Inglorious Bastards, Django Unchained, Hateful Eight, and then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is the last one. I think that came out in 2019. So
Most recent.
most
Yep.
recent one. So we've got a good list here. I have some notes as well just to discuss these. But if you guys wanted to go ahead and say anything that you'd like about these movies or things while I pull this up, please feel free to jump in.
Well, first of all, happy Alien Day to everybody. 426. Just gotta throw that in there. Quick plug. You know.
Quick plug. Alien Day. One thing I will say that I think the three of us in separate conversations have talked about, another fun aspect of ranking these movies is comparing apples to oranges. I mean, as you look at the movies on the list, you know, it's very difficult to compare each one. I think you're gonna have to explain what Alien Day is, bro.
You're already diverting the conversation. Great.
So you're just celebrating the Alien franchise, you know? Alien film franchise.
Is April 26th the day that it came out, or is it that the day that their mission?
I think that's what they adopted from level 426 in one of the movie, or I guess it would probably be the first movie. It's like maybe I can't remember what it is, but
Great.
it's not the day it came out. I know that.
Okay.
It's level 426 from the first movie, which I think is in reference to the ship,
Okay.
if I remember correctly.
I'm glad that we got that established.
Yeah. Well, you guys just want to talk about Alien instead?
Yeah, let's talk about Alien instead. I think we're all really
We're gonna be way less prepared for that.
eager to talk about that one. So, one thing I wanted to do, first and foremost, is kind of just give you an idea of what these individual movies were rated at the time, or what they have now via Rotten Tomatoes scores, IMDb scores. So, Pulp Fiction. So let's start with Rotten Tomatoes first. Rotten Tomatoes has their rankings, and I only did Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb just because that's what we do on the regular stream. So I didn't pull out any Collider lists or Entertainment Weekly or anything like that about them. But I'll go ahead and start here. Rotten Tomatoes has Pulp Fiction at number 1 at a 92%, Reservoir Dogs at a 90%, Inglourious Bastards at an 89%, Jackie Brown at an 87%, Django Unchained at 87%, Kill Bill Volume 1, 85%, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at 85%, Kill Bill Volume 2, 84%, Hateful Eight, 74%, and then Death Proof at 66% on there. And then IMDb's is a little bit different. They did have Pulp Fiction at number 1 with let's see, where did I pull Pulp Fiction? 8.9 out of 10. Django Unchained has a 8.4 out of 10. Reservoir Dogs is third, and it is 8.3 out of 10. Inglourious Bastards fourth. That is 8.3 out of 10. Kill Bill Volume 1, 8.2. Kill Bill Volume 2, 8.0. Hateful Eight at 7.8. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at 7.6. Jackie Brown coming in next to last with a 7.5. And then Death Proof at a 7.0. So just to kind of give you a frame of reference of what we're up against here. And
easy. We can easily do better.
The only thing I see really in common there is Death Proof is at the very bottom of both lists there, which we can talk about. We can talk about each one of these movies individually and go off from there. So Reservoir Dogs is the first movie that comes out from Quentin Tarantino, his initial film, kind of what puts him on the map. It's a heist movie where you don't see the heist. It is a who's the mole movie.
Who done it?
Who done it? Who's the one that screwed us over? Who's the rat? And it just kind of jumped onto the scene here. You already see some classic Tarantino things in this movie. You see sequences out of order. You see pop culture conversations. There's a whole scene where they're talking about Madonna and tipping. That's all in the first initial scene in this movie. A lot of musical needle drops, classic needle drops that you'll see in all of his films. So this is kind of the initiation for us into the Tarantino verse. So yeah, anything you guys want to say about Reservoir Dogs? When you saw it, I didn't see this movie until I was probably a teen. It was definitely a teenager for me because I remember I guess it might have been a 10-year re-release. So in 2002, I think they did a re-release on DVD of all these movies, and they came in the different colored DVD cases. So I got Mr. Pink DVD case. So when was the first time y'all saw Reservoir Dogs?
Late
First for
for me. It was college. So
college for me as well.
yeah, but we're talking late aughts, probably late 2000s.
Mm-hmm. And was this the first Tarantino movie you'd seen?
No, I had for sure seen Pulp Fiction before, and I want to say I saw Kill Bill before this one too.
Okay.
I want to say I saw this one first.
This is the first one you'd seen?
Yeah, I saw Reservoir Dogs first and then Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, somebody in chat just said that they feel like most people's would be Pulp Fiction. Their first one would be Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
That's probably true for me as well. But yeah, Reservoir Dogs wasn't far behind. I remember, did you guys have Suncoast videos in any of your malls or anything?
We had Video 2000.
Video 2000? Okay. So I remember even as a child, I wanted to see this movie because there was this figurine, Joseph, I know you have a Lost figurine kind of setup thing in your room, but it was a lot like that. It was it was the scene where Steve Buscemi is down on the floor and he's got his gun pointed up at, I believe, I don't even remember their names at this point. Mr. Blonde, Harvey Keitel's character. But I remember seeing that and I was like, I got to see this movie. And then I saw another statuette, whatever these things are called, figurine, diorama, I don't know. But it was of the guy cutting off the cop's ear in this movie.
Staple scene.
A staple scene, absolutely. If you haven't seen Reservoir Dogs, that is kind of one of the probably the most famous scene in this entire movie. Another thing that I think Tarantino does at times, and maybe this was just for ratings, or no, he really doesn't do this. Everything after this is pretty bloody and terrible. But he cuts away from the violence in this movie. I know M. Night Shyamalan does this a lot. He'll cut away from the grotesque scene in movies. It's kind of an interesting thing. I think it goes back to when Spielberg did Jaws and never showed you the shark. It's just kind of gives it more impact in that way. So I love one thing I think we can all agree on in these movies is that we're dealing with movies that are pretty perfect.
Top tier.
Yeah, the top tier. So ranking perfect movies is going to be a few different things that we're going to be looking at. So it depends on what your personality is and what you like. So it's subject matter. Do you like what you see on screen? I think, Steven, you had talked to me about this. And
yeah, I mean, if you hate heist movies and you love Westerns, there's something for you, you're probably gonna like Hateful Eight a little bit more than Reservoir
Mhm.
Dogs. So it's difficult to compare different sports. You know, you're
Yeah.
comparing the Chicago Bulls to the Yankees sometimes with these movies, and they're both great. And so that's what'll be interesting as we kind of get into the specifics.
So yeah,
Personal opinions.
we get Reservoir Dogs. It's a heist movie. Pulp Fiction is a uh, I don't even know how to describe Pulp
Yeah.
Fiction. It's just like a series of different stories about these different criminals, I guess. There's like 4 or 5 different stories in here that are told out of sequence and everything. Jackie Brown is another kind of crime caper, not necessarily a heist, but it has those heist elements to it. Um, Kill Bill, you've got Kill Bill Volume 1, which is an homage to all these old kung fu movies and some revenge movies that were popular in like the 70s. Kill Bill Volume 2 is a little bit of different in that sense. It's more Kill Bill 2 almost falls into more of like a western theme. Like it's a quieter movie. It's still that revenge drama, but you get less of the outlandish fight scenes and things like that. Um, what else we got? Death Proof is a play on the grind. It was released as one of the Grindhouse movies, and is kind of with that. It is like those Grindhouse movies where it's just like ridiculous plot. It's very short. There are scenes missing from it. It's kind of silly in that respect. Inglorious Bastards, his World War II revenge movie. Django is his Civil War, uh, pre-Civil War revenge movie. Again, getting into more of a Western. Hateful Eight is like a bottle episode. Again, it's like it's another kind of Reservoir Dogs esque thing, but in a Western atmosphere. And then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is I a buddy movie. I feel like it has those.
Yeah.
It has that revisionist history that Inglorious Bastards has, but it's still more. Most of that movie takes place. It is more of a buddy movie, and it's a little bit of an insider Hollywood kind of movie. So, if we just want to go ahead and throw out our rankings, that might be a good place to start.
I
Um,
think either throwing out the rankings or when you think about these movies, like I think laying down some boundaries. Like if you think of what's awesome about them, you know, acting, cinematography, stuff like that, just kind of outline some why we like the Quentin Tarantino's movies so much, and then try to get specific with each one on each of those things. Like try to that may help us when we're fine tuning, where things are, why we think that. But
mhm.
yeah, I'm also up for let's hit it with the rankings as
Yeah,
well.
we can talk about that. Let's if we're let's separate. Let's start first with acting. I think that's an easy
Okay.
one to point to. What movies do you think are the ones that have the best acting in them? Because I think that for me, that list and specific performances would change like where my rankings are. So,
Ooh, and this will be fun as we go through these, initial reaction. I know that we all have our rankings that we've put together, calculated, but as we
Mhm.
go through these, when you look at this list in front of us, what is what are the top three when it comes to acting?
mhm.
And then we'll kind of have to come back and see if our calculated ranking matches up with our initial reaction on some of the criteria.
All right, yeah, I like that. So let's
Yeah.
do that. Like top three, you think acting?
Just
Joseph.
yeah, an initial. Yeah, what do you
Well,
think,
the,
bro?
the number one is easy. It's Jackie Brown, hands down. I think best cast and best acting out of the whole caboodle. I would probably say, hmm, I think Inglorious Bastards would be my second. Kristoff is amazing in that, but not as good as Pam Grier, I don't think, in Jackie Brown. And then my third, just acting wise, maybe Django.
For me,
That's my
off the
top three.
top, it's Inglorious Bastards, Jackie Brown and Django. Excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah, those would be, yeah, and with Pulp right on the cusp behind that.
I think I am. I think I really like the Jackie Brown, mostly because everybody's bringing it in that movie. Pam Grier, who hadn't had a career forever, getting the chance to do that. Robert Forster, the same thing, like just killing it. Everybody. Samuel L., Michael Keaton, Chris Tucker for the brief amount of time he's in this movie. Robert De Niro, just really bringing it. My second, might be Django, and I'll tell. This is based off of initial reaction of coming out of the movie, and I think is it
Man, what I can't. I'm having trouble calling his name. The bad guy.
Candyland. You talking about
No,
Leonardo
in
DiCaprio?
Django.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah, Leo. Sorry, Leo. I feel like um he delivers in a way in that movie that's special even across his career. So
So yeah, what I was gonna say about Django is not only Leo's role because I think he is amazing in this movie. Funny enough, the only person to get nominated from this movie was Christoph Waltz. He got nominated and he won, and I actually think he is the third best in this movie. I think Samuel L. is. I was amazed at Samuel L. Jackson in this movie. I kid you not. He's only in it in the last half of this movie, but there's a moment in Django where it's at the very end, and he's been playing this old kind of crotchety old man, and the like best friends with Leo's character. Leo's dead at this point, and then it like Django's calling out to him, and you see Samuel L. Jackson like stand up straight. He doesn't have the cane anymore. He changes his tone a little bit. He's not that wisecracking old man that he was, and it's that turn that I was like, why doesn't this man have an Oscar? Because that moment for me alone was why I think he's the best thing in Django. And then like close second is Leonardo DiCaprio.
yeah,
I want to put Inglorious Bastards at 3, but I cannot because I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is one of the best movies or best acted movies here.
Here we
Because I
go.
think Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio are bringing it in that movie, and probably both should have been nominated for that. Leo's doing some of his best acting that I've ever seen him do in this movie, in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I think that's my number 3. What's your problems?
I do think that Samuel L. Jackson's role in Django is the best out of all the Tarantino movies. I think that's his best performance.
I think it goes for me with Samuel L. alone, Django, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, and then Hateful Eight. I think that's his order there. Steven's shaking his head.
Pulp Fiction. His role in Pulp Fiction is. I don't think I agree with both of you, that his role in Django is amazing. I would say Leo outdid him, and his role in Pulp Fiction is iconic. Like, I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think his role in Django is iconic.
I agree with that statement. I just think the
Yeah.
better acting was in Django. I think it's more
Yeah, I guess
iconic.
maybe he was just getting to be more Samuel L. in Pulp Fiction. He was just getting to be the like MF for this, and MF for that.
Yeah. I think that sets him up for the next 20 years of being Samuel L.
That
Jackson,
guy. Yeah, that
of being
guy.
Samuel, and like I think it's a little
It's my beer.
I think it's a little like I'm not saying this is not to be mean or anything. Like I think it's a little unfair that in Pulp Fiction that's the person like you said it's iconic.
Yeah.
That's the persona that he is kind of forced into for the next 20 years of being the snakes on the plane guy, the Nick Fury guy, like, and I think it kind of
Yeah.
thrust him
The
into a
shark,
corner.
deep blue sea guy.
Yeah, Deep Blue Sea guy. And when I see him in a Tarantino film, like a Jackie Brown, like a Django, Hateful Eight, he disappears into that role and ceases to be the icon Samuel L. Jackson. Because even in Pulp Fiction, like his best stuff isn't when he's being being the ridiculous. Like, yes, he's got the classic line, the Ezekiel 25:17. That's great and everything. But I think in the moments like when he's in Quentin Tarantino's house in Pulp Fiction is great. When he's talking to Tim Roth's character in the diner in Pulp Fiction, that stuff's good. And that's where he's killing it in Pulp Fiction.
And that's where like you kind of see you get more of that in Django right there at the end, and where we started.
It's a smaller role in Django, but I think he shines in it.
Okay, what else we talking here? Like, what's the other criteria? Cinematography, just the way it looked, the visuals.
Yeah, we can do that. Cinematography.
Visually, my top three immediately off the top of my head. In no order. Inglorious Bastards, Pulp Fiction, and Kill Bill 1.
Okay. I like the Kill Bill choice. I really do. Joseph?
Yeah. Kill Bill 1. I still don't know if we're doing separation of Kill Bill or not, but Kill Bill 1 is stand out to me. Probably even like a couple rungs above. I mean, all of his like artistic work is great in all of them, and it's very intentional. But I like the Kill Bill Volume 1, like the multiple different like expressions that were shown there with like the anime and the black and white and like all that was really awesome. Inglourious Bastards, I think, again, would be up there in the running. Just like a lot of like depth in a lot of those scenes with the like color and texture. I don't know what my third one would be. I'm just gonna leave those two as standout for me.
Well, I love the Kill Bill options that he gives you. You know, he gives you everything visually, like you said, anime, old school. He goes like into a black and white scene and a very bloody fight scene, and I love that like silhouette fight scene that there is in Kill Bill 1. Kill Bill Kill Bill 2. I think again. I think he hones a little bit more in his later films with like Django and Hateful Eight are these beautiful, vast landscapes that he gets really, really good at. Like if you watch Hateful Eight and you watch those long scenes where there's a lot of traveling, it's very boring. But it's like kind of like an ode to.
It's like Quentin Tarantino after he watched No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. It's in both categories for like the Coens and everything. Like that's a send up to John Ford and The Searchers, the old John Wayne movies that are just these beautiful deserts and everything. So I do think that there's some credit needs to go to Hateful Eight, even though I think that we're probably all not as high on Hateful Eight as it probably deserves credit for, but that's okay. I think
It's just
that
in a it's in a tough, it's in a tough battle with all the others,
I think Inglorious Bastards might be uh, my favorite. Um, it kind of it and Kill Bill, and then of course I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and
There you go.
Yeah, you do.
I think it's amazing. Yeah, so those would be mine, like cinematography wise.
What about just like subject matter or like
Are we doing
overall?
subject matter? Are we doing subject matter or story too?
Yeah, just like story slash subject matter. Like there's a particular movie that I'm sure we'll end up talking about that I just don't like the subject matter of at like it just that's why it's going to be so low on my list. So when I look at these and I think about the subject matter, um, it immediately kind of pushes and it explains more. I feel like of why a lot of the movies on my list are up there, and that would be like Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, and Inglorious Bastards.
Mm-hmm. I think Inglorious Bastards stands out as like um the easy. I feel like the easiest one to digest, just with the World War II backdrop. Like
Everybody hates
the
Nazis.
enemy that we all hate. Like
Everybody hates
everybody hates
Nazis.
Nazis, so that's an easy one to jump on board with. I think. I think I enjoy movies more like Jackie Brown than any of these other movies here.
Which explains why Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is higher up on your list as
True.
well.
But I also want to point out with Jackie Brown, it's the only movie out of all of these that is not a Quentin Tarantino original.
I know.
Mm.
Okay, that's why. So when we're talking about like subject matter, I guess I want to put like Jackie Brown in there, but since it was kind of like adapted, I don't know. Um,
It's the only reason it wouldn't be up there on mine.
yeah, but
I'm glad you said
again,
that.
I think I'm gonna do two again, but I think like the most enjoyable, just like subject matter for me, was the OG Reservoir Dogs, and Kill Bill.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say about Kill Bill is when I watch Kill Bill, and I watched Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 in theaters with my high school girlfriend at the time, who was a preacher's daughter who didn't know any of this stuff. And I really I wasn't interested in anime. I wasn't interested in kung fu movies. Those weren't my, that wasn't in my repertoire at all. And I think that I actually like Kill Bill more now, having watched for over the past like 10 years more kung fu movies, more samurai movies, more. I'm still not like huge into anime, but I've at least experienced some anime to really appreciate what he did with Kill Bill 1 specifically. So I like that subject matter more now. At the time, I think I was a little. I still loved it because I thought it was cool, but I don't think I appreciated what he did with it. So
Yeah,
um, I think Inglorious Bastards is the easiest one for me. But I think if I were wanting to pick a movie consistently, you'll see more Jackie Brown esque things, or Reservoir Dogs is a good that I'm gonna kind of go toward.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about Death Proof. I feel bad for it. Like I want to cradle it in my arms and say you're okay.
well,
It's
okay,
okay, baby.
we can address that. Do you think Death Proof is a parody,
Yes.
like all out parody? All
I mean, it I think where I was gonna go with like maybe the last category is just the first time that you saw all these movies, how did you like how'd they make you feel? Did they make it was it like, wow, I loved that. That was awesome. Um and really Death Proof is the only one of all of them that there was that I was like, I don't need to watch that
Mm-hmm.
ever again.
I
That has no rewatchability to me. And I think maybe that's a cool place to start is like at the bottom of our lists.
mm-hmm.
Just like bottom two and see if how did that how did that make you feel? Yeah, exactly. And Death Proof made me feel like I don't I don't
I'm so sorry. I'll have to be right back. Y'all continue on.
Okay.
okay.
Um,
Uh
One thing I'll say, I'll kind of come out in defense of Death Proof a little bit. It has its
Give
problems,
it to
right?
me. I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
Death Proof has its problems. Again, it's associated with him and his buddy Robert Rodriguez doing a send up of grindhouse movies from the 70s, and which were all these movies that were like I said earlier, ridiculous plots, lots of blood, lots of gore. The one that was attached to this, and if you watch it, not even separately, but you watch it with Planet Terror, which came on, which aired first, and you had all these
Mhm.
like really gory horror movie esque trailers that played before each of these movies. It has that like missing reels thing where, you know, if you're going to a grindhouse theater, they might have missed or that you're watching these movies, they might not have had. They're really bad theaters, or
Yeah.
just really like basically they were showing like pornos in these type of theaters too, and so that's kind of what you get. It's this quality of movie. I think the beginning of Death Proof is is not as good as the ending of Death Proof. And what Joseph was kind of saying about parody, I don't think it's so much parody as it is homage, and then
Yeah.
homage and then like flipping it on its head, because in those like in these movies you get Death Proof, you have that killer whatever is Stuntman Mike or whatever his name is in this movie.
Man, Mike.
He's going to get away
Oh,
with it
Kurt Russell.
He's in
in
Mike.
yeah, in most movies like this, Stuntman Mike is going to get away with it because you want to have that they're going to do Death Proof 2 or Death Proof 3 kind of thing. But in this one, it flips it, and you get this like this. I think like this, and I'm a man, so it doesn't mean anything for me. But like this feminist story where you have these four badass girls who you think are like scared, because we see that in the first part of Death Proof. We have this completely different storyline, but then we get this second half where it is like Stuntman Mike messed with the wrong people, and I just love in this scene that like Kurt Russell, who is this quintessential 80s action star. He's kind of like the guy that everybody wanted to be in the 80s. If you've ever seen Big Trouble in Little China or Escape from New York, The Thing, these type of movies, like Kurt Russell was it. And then to see him like begging for mercy, bawling his eyes out because these women are just kicking the shit out of him, and then that ending scene where basically that one of the main girls like scissor kicks and like busts his skull wide open. I think it is. I think that part of it, the second part of Death Proof, to me, almost makes it. It almost saves the entire thing and makes me want to. I think it has a rewatchability because of that. It's a fun movie to put on and just see some women
And
kick some
maybe
dude's ass.
I appreciate the challenge. I'll definitely give it another run. But when it came to this list of movies and trying to like watch back through any of them, that was the one that I was like, I'm not in any rush. If I run out of the rest of them, will I watch that again? Just because I mean that's just that's very subjective.
Yeah.
How my reaction to it the first time I saw it, especially.
So is Death Proof the bottom of your list?
Death Proof is the bottom of my list.
Death Proof is not the bottom of my list.
I bet for you, if I had to take a guess, the bottom of your list is the Hateful Eight.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I'm guessing for you, Cody, your bottom of the list is Death Proof as well.
Once upon a time.
No,
not the
it's
bottom
not.
of my
Once upon
list,
a
you
time.
joker.
I was about to
No,
say.
no, no, no. Hateful Eight is the one that comes in at the bottom of my list.
Oh, so y'all
Yeah,
agree?
some of these.
Yeah, Hateful
Okay,
Eight and
okay.
Death Proof are my bottom. These are my bottom two right here.
Okay,
Hateful
so
Eight is 10,
Hateful
and
Eight
then
was Hateful Eight was number 9 for me.
yeah,
Um, yeah, tell me, you gotta give me some reason for that. Yeah, how is Death Proof better than the Hateful Eight?
I think Death Proof is more fun in my opinion.
Yeah, it's slow. Hateful Eight is slow.
Go for it, Joseph. I don't
Yeah,
want to talk over you.
it's hard to compare. I did like the flip the script that you're talking about with the second half of Death Proof, but I enjoyed the first half of Death Proof more. I thought it
Oh
was
wow.
like super slow burn, like a lot of building intensity to like we don't know who this guy is, but we're not getting good vibes. It almost felt like the start of a slasher, which makes sense. I love slashers, so.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I felt like Death Proof was more like intentionally self-indulgent versus like Hateful Eight was just like I don't know. It would just seem like pointless and like except that we're gonna show a bunch of crazy violence. Like I don't know. I like a bottle episode, but it didn't work nearly as well for me as like Reservoir Dogs did.
I agree with that. I think
Surprise number 1.
I do think that I agree with that statement that Reservoir Dogs does what Hateful Eight that does better what Hateful Eight was trying to do.
Neither one of you think the cinematography saves Hateful Eight?
The
No,
cinematography is great because it's so like dismal and like it's such a like it's dark and it's a wasteland the whole time,
Yeah,
which I
way
loved.
better than Death Proof, in my
It was
opinion.
very great,
I
but
th-
it did not enough to save it for me.
I think that the cinematography, like, because this does take place all at Minnie's haberdashery, you get all those really, really long scenes of the traveling, which again is beautiful, like the snow, the
Yeah.
mountains, the trees, and everything. I think that is beautiful, but like particularly with snow, I'll say this is it's less interesting than other landscapes that you would see because it's just white and boring and like you said dismal. I think that Hateful Eight goes for more. It takes bigger swings, but I also think that led to bigger misses for me, and I think that's why I have it at the bottom.
First
Again,
surprise.
I
I
think
mean,
these are all great movies.
I want to know. Yeah, I want to come up with an agreed upon list. I'm just surprised. I really am surprised. I thought,
Again, we're talking like small differences
Yeah,
here.
yeah, really.
yeah,
But
okay, all right. Well, now it's about to get ugly. Wherever we go.
But those were our two bottom ones, right?
Oh
Collectively.
yeah, yeah. I had Death Proof at 10 and Hateful Eight at 9.
I'll concede this just because I know how Cody feels. But um, my
Well,
second, my
even
second
after just
last,
talking to him earlier, I was thinking that Death Proof was gonna be uh yeah, I'm surprised. Man, yeah, I'm surprised. All
and
right.
see, this is going to be the real unpopular opinion here that, and I'll concede it. That's fine. This is just my feeling. I actually have one more movie lower than Death Proof, and this is might ruin friendships here, but
You're
I,
wrong already,
Once
but
Upon a Time in Hollywood is my second to
wow.
lowest.
Um I'm gonna go ahead and say that my number 8 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I knew it was going to be Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is my number 4.
Okay.
And I almost put it at
I
number
thought that
3.
would have cracked top 3 for you, honestly.
I
So
almost
it
put
was
it at
your
number 3.
9. It was your 9, bro.
All right. Depends on. Are we doing Kill Bill split?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
yes, it's my 9.
Okay, so that makes Once Upon a Time in Hollywood number 8 on our list for now.
So Hateful Eight's 10 or 9
Yep.
or whatever.
Yep.
And then
Death Proof at
Hateful
9.
Eight, Death Proof, Once Upon a Time.
And Once Upon a Time at number 8 for now.
Spencer, I'm
I just want to
distraught
say
too.
before we continue about Once Upon a Time, it is really good. It's just, it's not as much for me as it is for other people. It's a love letter to like old Hollywood, and like I thought Leo and Brad were good, and like Margot was fine, but it just like I don't know, not enough happened for me.
Okay.
There we go. We can move forward now.
I mean, I'll speak my piece on it. I have seen, I think, every Leonardo DiCaprio movie. And when I was talking about the villain a while ago, I was not talking about Leo. I was talking about the villain from Inglourious Bastards that's still in Django. He's the good guy in Django. What's that guy?
Yeah.
Chris.
Christoph, yeah.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of Leo. I've seen a lot of Brad. And I think we're just going to have to agree to disagree that overall, like after watching it, I agree with Joseph. I just feel like of all the movies I've ever seen with both of them, this is not my favorite. Not my favorite.
This is one of those movies where I do feel like it is you're either on one side of the spectrum or you're not. I do think
I need
this
to watch
is
it. I'll say I need to watch it again. I need to watch Death Proof again, and I need to watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. After this conversation, I probably will watch both.
So after I just did a rewatch of every single one of these movies in order, and I thought to myself, I was like, Cody, you watched Once Upon a Time in theaters. You loved it then. I think I'd seen it another time after that. And so I was like, maybe you've got some bias, some recent or not recency bias, but and then I was like, I'm gonna go into it, watching it this time and try and see if I can like pick it apart. And I couldn't. Every freaking time. I think I loved it even more watching it now. That's why it was such a hard. It was so hard for me to not put it at 3 or 4, or when I did have it at 4 on my list. But I did
So
have
what
it at
did you
3.
have? What did you have then at 8, Cody?
I split up the Kill Bills and I put. I think I had. Let me see.
Kill
Hold
Bill
on.
2?
I think I had Kill Bill 2 there. And then, but it goes from like 10 and 9 to me, or it's like a huge leap up to number 8 for me, to where I think I have like 8 movies here that are 5 stars for me.
So I'd say that if Joseph's got Kill Bill at 2 at 7 as well, then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood goes up a notch because it was at your 4. What do you got at 7, bro?
Pulp Fiction.
Wow.
No way. Oh my God.
I need a drink. You're gonna make me drink. All right, let me go back.
When we're splitting hairs about, I mean, I'm talking movies that are all within like, we're talking like 3.5 and up. Like, I think the worst rating I gave to Hateful Eight was a 3.6. Like, so when I'm splitting hairs, again, I thought there's a lot of good in Pulp Fiction, but then there's a lot of like aimlessness in Pulp Fiction, which is not my cup of tea all the time. So.
Okay, so I guess then the next question is, where is Kill Bill 2 for you?
Kill Bill 2 for me was
if they're split.
wait. Oh, okay. 2 up from that, so that's 5.
Where's Kill
Okay.
Bill?
I still think that brings Once Upon a Time in Hollywood up over Kill Bill 2.
Let's just look at it real quick.
Probably.
If it's Cody's 4, my 7, and your
9.
9.
God damn it.
It's still up there, yeah.
Yeah, that's right there for now. Kill Bill 2 is behind Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Full scores between us. I knew that it would jump up. I knew that it would jump up as we went through it. I knew. I mean, I can't talk about Joseph's Pulp Fiction score yet.
Yeah, I'm not ready for that.
Well,
I gotta say my piece about Once Upon a Time
We've
in
got
Hollywood.
multiple movies to talk about before we get there.
I got to talk about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because we're not going to gloss over it and not let me wax poetic about this movie. That's beautiful. And I also think that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, out of all of these movies, every single one of them, I think it is his most well-made movie. I think it is his best movie that he has. I think it is the most,
for just like the general viewer.
Yes, I think it is the most complete movie. I think it is the more enticing movie because it does stray away from the typical Tarantino things that people love. I think it's his most accessible movie. Again, like that old Hollywood thing. I love the fact that there are 3 stories going on here, and each 3 of these stories, even if you want to dispute the Margot Robbie-lessness of the Sharon Tate character, I still feel like Sharon Tate gets her own. The Margot Robbie obviously is the supporting performance here with the 2 leads, but I even think that Sharon Tate gets her day and she gets her own story and it's fully fleshed out and you get this wholesome character and then I just can't even understand the way that this is going. I mean,
Hey,
I knew it.
I want to. Here's what I'll say. I would not be surprised as this conversation goes on if that movie doesn't jump another spot, just because of where everything is.
And Spencer's on my side in the chat, so I feel like it's 2 against 2. But
and I want to make you that I'm gonna watch it again, and the next time you have me on, I will. I will fully retract my statement because you and Spencer have great opinions, but I think
I don't
agree.
agree with that. Spencer has
you
trash
seen it, bro?
opinions.
Joseph, how many times have you seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
3 times.
I've seen it twice. So, I mean, you're pretty solid in your opinion.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, same. I could give it a 3-peat, but
I really disagree pretty strongly with you about the Margot Robbie Sharon Tate storyline.
Why? Because and this is one thing that I want to talk about here is that yes, his take on and Spencer brought this up. I appreciate him. I like the kind of redemption that Sharon Tate gets. We're not focused. It's not focusing on the Manson murders. It's not giving power to that time in our history.
Asshole.
And I think it's just to focus on Sharon Tate as a person, as an actress, instead of giving it just she was a murder victim kind of thing. I don't like the whole, just because she doesn't have a ton of dialogue in the movie. I don't give a shit about that. I think it's better what Tarantino can do with less dialogue with that character instead of doing his typical Tarantino where he's doing all these random pop culture references that y'all have to look up like later. I feel like you could have done a Sharon Tate short in Tarantino as a silent film, and I would have enjoyed it because I think that her acting in that is incredible with what little she has been given to do. I just think that it's a really good portion of the movie that I think gets overlooked because people are like, oh, there's a Tarantino. I want to hear him talk a lot.
It's
out.
just, man, when I look at the lineup of those top 7, man, it's tough. You're not wrong. You're not. It's a good movie. It's a good movie, but it's just when it comes to the rest of these, it's just it's tough competition right now.
And
So
I didn't even get to talk about Rick Dalton, and I didn't even get to talk about Brad Pitt's
It's
character.
not. Hey, I am not trying to keep you from that in any way. How much screen time would you say Margot Robbie had in that movie?
I would say 10 minutes, maybe 15.
Okay, in
I
a
pay
2
attention
hour
to
and
that
45
freaking
minute.
movie. Yeah, but what
And
is it
a two.
about? You have
I'm
to
just saying.
have that.
My point of disagreement was I don't think she got a fleshed out storyline. You're talking about multiple storylines.
I
I
don't
don't think she got
I don't
her
think
due.
she needs as big of storyline as maybe you're wanting. I don't want to dive into
Yeah,
everything. You get everything with you get everything at the Playboy Mansion. You get a lot of you get backstory there. You get to see her interstitially through the telling of Rick and God, what is Brad Pitt's character's name? It's escaping me.
Cliff.
Oh, Cliff Booth. Yeah.
Yeah, Cliff.
That is who the movie is about, but you need those interstitials. You need that little bit of storyline. You need that subplot in there to get to that end scene where the Manson family goes to Rick's house instead of to Sharon Tate's house. You need that to know that, and
I agree.
to have it
I
always
just wanted more.
looming, to have it always looming in the background that Sharon Tate's going to die at the end of this movie. The Manson family's going to come and they're going to kill her. And you have to have that in the back of your head to know how is this going to play out. And then you get the awesome scene with Rick and Cliff at the end. It's incredible.
I love the awesome scene at the end. I just wanted more Sharon Tate. That's all I'm saying.
Go watch The Wrecking Crew then, which is what she did at that beautiful time in the cinema when
Is that
she's
the one that was
watching
playing in the
herself
theater?
on screen, smiling and having a great time as people around are laughing and appreciating the acting that Sharon Tate is doing in that movie.
Sounds wild.
You need more quiet moments.
I love it.
I love a
You know
silent
me. I
film.
love quiet moments.
I
You
love a
don't.
good
You
quiet
want
moment.
you want these loud shooting scenes and setting people on fire.
That's not true. My favorite part of that whole movie was when Leo was like going through his highs and lows, like as an actor, like when he was like trying to nail his lines and failing, and then gave himself the pep talk in the trailer, and then came back and killed it. That was the best part of the movie. You think I just care about explosive violence, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I think you care about hot girls and violence. And that's what's wrong with America today. Now let's talk about some more hot girls and some violence. Let's talk about
That's gotta be Kill Bill.
Let's talk about Kill Bill. What a segue. I'm getting good at this.
Yeah, killed it.
Go ahead.
Who?
Anybody. I thought Steven was going to say something.
So I can agree with what we've got so far. I'm still surprised by 9 and 10. I would flip 9 and 10 for sure, but I can see Kill Bill 2 behind Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for sure. Those are my 6 and 7. Wait. Sorry. Death Proof at 10, Hateful Eight at 9. I had Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at 8. Got a cat coming in for a landing.
Typical.
Typical of this cat. She can hang out as long as she's gonna be cool. Kill Bill 2. Okay, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What do you guys have at 6?
I had, wait, hold on a second. 10, 9, 8. I have Kill Bill 1 at 6.
Ooh.
I
I
have
can't
my
see the list we're talking about so far, but my 6 is Reservoir Dogs.
Oh yeah. My 6 is Jackie Brown.
Oof. Hot take.
mm, mm,
Wow.
mm.
I don't know, man. With the, I think with the what we've got ahead here, it's only so hot, man. We're splitting hairs.
Was it Samuel L. Jackson's hair? That's what I need to know.
This is the.
uh,
I think this is the first time we get him in a Kangol, and then it kind of becomes.
yeah. I um I think just um overall, just overall as a film, it comes in below the rest of them for me. That's what I'll say about that.
Let's
What
see.
about number 5? See if we can split some of these hairs.
Number 5. Wait, hold on. Number 5, I had Reservoir Dogs.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm gonna have to go ahead and say that I had it at number 2.
Okay. So
Reservoir Dogs?
what did you have it
Yeah,
at,
so
Joe?
For number, what are we on? 5?
I mean, we have 10, 9.
Joseph said he had it at 6.
I got Reservoir Dogs at 6, yeah.
So I think you got to throw that back above Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, unfortunately.
Which one?
Reservoir Dogs.
Okay.
I disagree heavily because that's my
Reservoir
number 2.
Dogs has always been my like traditional number 1 for Tarantino movies.
Mm-hmm.
But after watching back through them all, it wasn't as strong in comparison to some of the
Y'all
others.
both have Reservoir Dogs behind Django?
No, I have
Yes.
Django at 6. Or
Okay.
7. Let's see here.
Okay. Wait.
7 is where I have Django.
I have Django at 5.
4 for me.
Wow.
So I think it's got to fall behind Reservoir Dogs if I've got it at number 2.
Okay. I'm
How do
fine
y'all
with
feel
that.
about that?
So right
How you feel
now,
about that, bro?
I don't know
I
if
can't see
I
anything
thought-
that
hold
you're
on.
doing, so I'm just gonna trust the process here.
So right now, so we're debating between Reservoir Dogs and Django being at 5 and 6.
I think we need to
And
do.
right-
Let me do a recap real quick.
Okay.
Okay, we've got Hateful Eight at 10. Consensus 10. Death Proof at 9. Consensus 9. We have Kill Bill Volume 2 here at number 8. And I don't know if that's true or not.
I think it belongs there.
It's my
Because-
5.
It's
But,
my 8, and I don't know because
but I can concede it.
It's my 7.
The Kill Bill I have a special place in my heart for, so I can concede it lower than
and
the
you
5
both
that I put it at.
and I had Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was my 4, and you all had it at your 8.
I had it 9. So yeah, it probably goes right above Kill Bill Volume 2.
Okay, so that's where we're at right now. So
Yeah.
10 Hateful Eight, 9 Death Proof. Kill Bill Volume 2 is number 8. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is stupidly at number 7. And then right now we're working on 6 and 5. So just want to make sure Django right now is in the 6th position.
I think that's right because Reservoir Dogs is so high on my list.
Mm-hmm.
If we're doing total score.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Because Django's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for me.
okay.
So it's close anyway.
Django for me is probably the hardest watch out of all of these just because of subject material, but I kind of feel not that it's the most complete, but I feel like it's like the top tier of his like most complete films, like start to finish.
Is it slavery or is it the wrestling?
The Mandingo.
The Mandingo wrestling. Is that what it is?
The hard watch, you mean?
Yeah.
Both. Yeah.
I
All of
mean,
the above.
obviously these are terrible atrocities
The
in our history. I was just wondering. I was wondering what we were picking out.
Man, you know
the
what stands out
Mandingo
to
scene was very hard to watch.
Yeah.
Like
man? What stands out to me too, and I know I may be like reaching when you compare, but like, is it Kerry Washington and the like hot box?
Yeah.
Yo, that's brutal. And then the
Mhm.
Yeah.
dogs. I mean, it is a tough watch, but
the dog part was real hard. Yeah.
for such a tough watch, you get that Inglorious Bastards kind of like F these guys
Mhm.
by the end, which feels real nice.
It
So,
it's also a movie that has like some oddly comedic parts in it too. Like
Right.
you have that KKK bag scene, which is a like obviously it's put in there purposefully to kind of pull you out of where you're at with it,
yeah.
with
Yeah.
what we've seen. Um, and I don't know. I don't want to bash on Django. It is a tough watch.
Reservoir Dogs is a much easier
Yeah,
watch
I
for
would
sure.
rather watch a guy not get his ear cut off. Yeah, I
I
think.
thought the payoff in Django though was it might be my favorite in all the movies. Like when he can we? I'm assuming we can do spoilers. Like
Oh
these are
yeah,
all old movies, right? Okay. When Christoph shoots Leo, like Leo's insisting on the handshake, and he finally goes up to him and shoots him and says, "I couldn't resist." That was like the biggest like payoff
I
in
I
all these movies for me. I love that moment.
I agree with that. I like that part, mostly because what we have up until that point of the movie is a European white man who has taken Django under his wing. It's that white knight, like white man is coming in and saving the day that you see in a lot of movies. And when that moment happens, when he shoots Leonardo DiCaprio's character, it is not a he is now no longer a white knight. He has taken upon himself. He's trying to assert himself into that role, and what all it does is screw up everything for Django. And then you spend the rest of that movie, Django has to get himself out of that situation and does so successfully. So I like that it squashes that white knight narrative that is often seen in movies kind of like this. Like you would see and not to compare this movie, but in 12 Years a Slave, you see like certain characters like Brad Pitt's character in 12 Years a Slave that are nice to Solomon Northup's character. And we're like, oh, we get to assert ourselves in that role. We get to be that character and be like, yeah, I'd be like that guy. And I think Django stomps on that and says, nope, you don't get to be that guy. You don't get to be the savior. Django's going to save himself and he's going to save everybody. So I really like that about this.
Yeah, I think we could see a few slip right above Django, right above Reservoir Dogs because it's so close for sure.
I have a feeling that Pulp Fiction's about to slip, though.
Uh-oh.
No, and just because of Joseph's
I mean,
ranking of it.
you don't have to go by my bias.
No,
Again,
Oh
but
no,
we have to take
no,
it all
that's
into
what we're going
consideration.
by. That's what we're going by as our bias. The trifecta of bias.
just because I have it as a 7 doesn't mean it's got to slip. You know.
Okay.
But I think it does.
I think it's about to.
So we've got Django at 6. We're comfortable with that, and Reservoir Dogs at 5.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
I mean, it's yeah. So
Okay.
far, for now, yeah.
What did you guys have Kill Bill Volume 1 ranked?
Number 2.
Number 4.
I had it at number, let's see here, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. So would it be appropriate in the 3 or the 4?
Probably the 4 for now.
It's gonna depend where you and I fall with Pulp Fiction for sure. Because if Pulp Fiction's high enough on both of our lists, then I think that'll keep it up there. But for now, I'm liking. I'm thinking we need to adjust Jackie Brown because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's number 6 for me.
It's number 2 for
So,
me.
so where are you
Number
sitting
one
at?
for me.
Number 1. Okay,
Wow.
so we can leave that where it is for sure.
I have
Uh,
Pulp Fiction at number 3.
I've got Pulp Fiction at number 1.
Okay.
Yeah, so that carries it up there.
To
Where
above you, where was Jackie Brown for both of y'all?
I had it
1
at
and
2,
2.
he had it at
One.
1. Yeah.
So it's got to stay where it is. Where's Inglorious Bastards for y'all?
Number 1 on mine.
3 for me.
Yeah, number 3 for me as well.
Okay.
Ooh, so that might be the overall number 1 then.
I don't hate this list at all.
The one that I have on the screen?
What I see on the screen, I mean, Inglorious Bastards is incredible. It's incredible.
And I'm talking like my difference between like Django and Glorious Bastards, Kill Bill Volume 1, and Jackie Brown is all like 0.05.
Yeah, and when I was looking at
Very
my
minor.
when I was looking at my list of where Jackie Brown is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sits at 6 currently. It's an easy. I remember thinking it's an easy negotiation above Django and above Kill Bill 1. So I'm surprised Jackie Brown ended up above Pulp Fiction. I think we should discuss that.
So as I was my top,
Especially as an as not a full blown Quentin Tarantino.
I don't have a problem
It would
talking
have been
about
a
it.
knockout. It would have been a knockout first place for me. I dinged it points for being like adapted.
My top 4 or my top 3, I'll say, because we won't even talk about Once Upon a Time. But I toyed around with my top 3 a lot to where I messed around. It was Jackie Brown and Glorious Bastards, Pulp Fiction, and they switched places numerous times. Pulp Fiction, I think, is the quintessential number 1 for most people. Again,
Can I argue for that? Let me
yeah,
since it
no,
was my
it's
number 1.
it's exactly.
I think so. You take his starting point at Reservoir Dogs, where I know that it was a little lower than I expected to be on our list, but I mean, a really great start. I think
Oh,
we
yeah.
all agree, right? All agree.
Yeah.
I mean, knock out of the park. And then you take, to me, what I see in Django, Inglorious Bastards, Reservoir Dogs, even Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You take this like mix of situations, and somehow I think it's the first time I ever saw a film like that where they connected. And to me, that is so Quentin Tarantino. That's what, because it was so early on, the second film I saw, and it all kind of connected in a way I had never seen before. That defined Quentin Tarantino's style to me. And then the violence came, obviously. But yeah, I like that a lot better.
I think I can be swayed to make it number 2 on my list. And rightfully so. Like, Steven, we were talking about Samuel L. Jackson in this movie, and like his, like, the typical, badass motherfucker thing, the Ezekiel 25:17, all that stuff. There's a reason why things like that live on past everything that we, all these movies. You're not sitting out there quoting Kill Bill. You're not sitting out there quoting Django Unchained or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You're quoting Pulp Fiction.
Quote me something from Jackie
The
Brown, bro.
Kill Bill Volume 2 has the most quotable line in all of Tarantino's movies.
Well, then quote me something from Jackie Brown, and it can
Baby,
go
you
above
ain't
Pulp
kidding.
Fiction.
Baby, you ain't kidding.
Baby, you ain't kidding.
But continue.
But so for that reason, I think I can bump Pulp Fiction up on my list. Like I said, my top 3, 4 were interchangeable in my liking of them. With Pulp Fiction, you have people that dress up like these characters. You have people that that can recite the entire story that Christopher Walken talks about when he's talking about the watch that he stuck up his ass. For Butch's, and he's talking to little Butch about it. It's a perfect
Cody,
movie.
how cute is Bruce Willis's girlfriend?
She's the worst part of Pulp Fiction.
How dare you?
She's the worst part of Pulp Fiction. That whole bit about her having like a pooch belly, and like she would like that's the worst part to me.
She's precious.
Yeah, she's precious, but I don't think.
Bro, how do you feel about Bruce Willis's girlfriend?
I could take her or leave her.
Oh my god.
Okay, so
moving on.
Before we move on from Pulp Fiction, the couple of things that I wrote down just as far as like, I guess, dings or whatever, points taken off. So what I mean, what would you classify Pulp Fiction as? What kind of movie is it?
A Quentin Tarantino movie.
Which is a good, like, honestly, the fact that you can say this is a Quentin Tarantino. How many times have we said that? Oh, it's like a Quentin Tarantino movie, like a Lucky Number 11. How would you describe that? You would be like, oh, it's kind of it's Tarantino-esque. It's kind of the same thing.
I watched Reservoir Dogs without knowing it was a Tarantino movie. Like that wasn't like the. I remember after watching Pulp Fiction being like, "What was that?" And it's like, "That's Quentin Tarantino."
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Go ahead.
For me, like having seen Pulp Fiction several times, and I used to like it, I think, better than I did on this last watch, but it just kind of like. At the end of it, just kind of felt like what did I watch? You know, like, yeah, there was great scenes and like comedy and like some fun like storytelling elements, but like overall, like it just kind of felt like, I don't know, just kind of like frivolous, like for the most part. It's like,
I mean,
which is not necessarily bad, but when we're splitting hairs, for me, is like. You know, I'm more like wanting like a front to back story that has a little more, I guess, like purpose or meaning.
Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Well, it kind of falls in the same.
If Pulp Fiction was gonna drop back to 3, Jackie Brown would have to drop back to 4, and Kill Bill would have to go to number 2 because it's so good, all on its own.
Which one?
Kill Bill 1.
Oh, yeah, no arguments there.
I think so the thing that stands out to me about Jackie Brown, not only is it the best ensemble cast across the board. I think Joseph said that in the beginning. I think if you we were talking about like, this is a Quentin Tarantino. Pulp Fiction is fully a Quentin Tarantino movie. Jackie Brown is adapted from an Elmore Leonard novel, Rum Punch. Any other person that takes on Jackie Brown, that story, this movie's probably not as good as what it is. And I think that credit has to go to that adapted screenplay by Tarantino and his casting choices and the.
But does that come over the top of creating something like Kill Bill? I mean, when I think about the people that create these worlds in their mind, like it's one thing to adapt something, but to create the storyline of Kill Bill, to create the storyline of Reservoir Dogs, that tip scene versus adapting, I think that's where you get my biggest disagreement, where there could be like a shift solely based on that. I still think I'd keep Jackie Brown above Django, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I don't know that I'd go past Django, but solely based on that, because what a world. And the acting in Reservoir Dog. I mean, I feel like the cutting off the ear scene alone is just, again, iconic. Like, I think Cody and I, no, I was talking with my buddy Ben about this. Is like, that movie stole a song.
Mm-hmm.
Na, 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 na.
Stuck in the middle
Like,
with you, yeah.
it defined a song. Like, I can't hear that song without thinking about him, like, walking up to cut his ear off. And to me, when it's that, and I may be wrong. I hesitate to even say this, that was improvised, is what I've read at some point in time.
Mm-hmm.
That he just did that and they shot it, and that ended up being what they used. I mean, maybe Spencer fact check me, man, but to me, and it was so early. I mean, you're talking like, I think Daniel Leather's like first semester sophomore year in college, being like, "You haven't seen Reservoir Dogs?" I mean, it was a window opener for me,
Yeah.
for sure.
I
And so,
I just
and then you've got Quentin Tarantino, and then finding out, like, after a few watches, that's Quentin Tarantino at the beginning,
Yeah.
making a cameo, and Steve Buscemi. I mean, it just, I think that's our biggest mess up there, is Reservoir Dogs being so low. But it's old. It's kind of dated at this point with all these. I mean, definitely got to come under Inglorious Bastards because of the age. But
confirmed the dance scene was improvised. Thank you, Spencer.
thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, man. I don't.
Top 5 scenes.
Shout
Like
out to that
all
actor.
Tarantino.
Call his
Top 5.
name, Cody. What's that actor's
Michael
name?
Madsen.
Michael Madsen
Man,
might be my favorite.
Really?
Like
wow.
repeat.
Wow, and incredible in Kill Bill too. I mean,
Oh yeah, I like him in Kill Bill Volume 2. My pushback is that Jackie Brown was held so high on Joseph and I's list that I can't put it down too far.
yeah.
Um,
I don't know how much y'all were considering the adaptation, though. Like, to me, that weighs heavy when you're creating a whole storyline versus creating a whole storyline. So that's why I kind of wanted to dive into the different aspects, is because how much does that weigh? I mean, and that obviously he did it well enough that I think it. I don't, man. I love Jackie Brown. I don't want to move it too low, and I'm pretty happy with the list we've got. I felt like Jackie Brown was going to be, and maybe Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was going to be my biggest contention anyway. So I'm happy to see both of them where they are.
Yeah.
Jackie Brown's a great movie.
So right now, as it stands, I'll go from 1 to 10, since you can't see it, Joseph. 1, I've got Inglorious Bastards. Number 2, I moved Pulp Fiction to 2. I put Jackie Brown at 3. Kill Bill Volume 1 at 4. Reservoir Dogs at 5. Django Unchained at 6. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at 7. Kill Bill at 8. Volume 2 at 8. Death Proof at 9. Hateful Eight at 10.
Okay.
Now, I could mess some things up. Play this as a 9 movie thing. Split the difference.
I was hoping we would go here.
Split the difference on Kill Bill.
Okay.
So take out Kill Bill 2.
And
so out of there.
So combine them like as one
movie and put them in between. Okay. So the question there would be, does Kill Bill as a whole go above Django and behind Reservoir Dogs, or does it go behind Django but above Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as a complete?
Bingo. That's it for me right there.
Okay. I'm just gonna not being able to see the list. I'm gonna say that if I combine the Kill Bills to one, I would have like Django 3, combined Kill Bills 4, Reservoir Dogs 5. I don't know how that factors into what y'all are calculating.
For me, it puts it at, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 6 on my list.
It would
Combined.
be number
Combined.
6 on my list combined as well.
Okay. So that's a solid like 5 or 6.
Yeah. So I mean, that's right
and
where
it's
we
at
have
5
it.
right now.
It's at 5 right now. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like it's where it needs to be then.
So
Yeah.
Django's at 7. We're good with that.
Yeah, so you basically like I guess X Kill Bill 2 out of there, so it would be at 5, Django at 6.
Yeah. Just
Once
play it
Upon a
like
Time
this.
in
We can.
Hollywood. Yeah.
I can take the rankings off. That way we don't have to. You don't see those numbers. Or I could just do this. Hold on.
Is he moving Death Proof to number 1?
No, shut up.
Hmm.
I'm moving. I'm moving. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood
To number 1.
to number 1.
That's not even your number 1. Get out of here.
Did we say above Django? Right? Is that right? There you go.
Yes.
There you go. I fixed it. So we've got Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair at 5, Django at 6. I won't even talk about the rest.
Do we think
Oh,
there's going to be a volume 3 for Kill Bill?
Yes. He said in
Yeah.
April. He's toyed with it in April of this year.
Awesome.
I know, Spencer. Joseph's pulp hatred makes me shiver too.
It's not hatred. It's preference.
I had it at
I'm okay.
I had it at
I'm
4
okay
on my
with
list.
it being number 2, but I'm surprised that Inglorious Bastards fell at 1. I'm proud of you boys, though.
I think that it has the
I think Inglourious Basterds is the most successful out of all his movies. You were talking about that earlier.
mm-hmm.
Man, that's so good.
That is Christoph Waltz, like his Hans Landa. That is the best role
Yeah.
I think in all.
That's
of
what
these
I
films.
I was getting a little confused earlier on, and that scene where he's interviewing that guy and Inglorious
And that's the
Bastards
first
is-
scene.
That opening scene is
Woo!
that is the best Tarantino. I think that's the best like directed scene of Tarantino across all of his movies.
I think the scene that rivals it again is the
Gotta get
strudel
my-
scene, where he's
The
talking.
strudel scene in
The
the diner?
strudel scene with Shoshana, and he
It's- yeah.
he orders the milk. I think that is incredible.
He is so villainous, like through and through. Even when he's being like,
But
like
enjoyable.
cordial and professional, he is just he's something else.
The problem with it is that he is enjoyable in that movie, like, and that's what makes
Sure.
it even better. It falls under that line of like the best comparison I think I could make for this is a Hannibal Lecter. Hannibal Lecter's, the most evil creature, one of the most evil creatures that can be, but
he's got that.
But he treats people with like he treats Clarice with respect, and like they have this kind of weird relationship. That's what you get with a Hans Landa. Like he's
This
incredible.
is why cults happen.
There are some there are some issues I do have with Inglorious. I don't think it's. I mean, I think there's some stuff with the Bastards that's a little lackluster at times. But like, it's very brief. It's very brief stuff with the Bastards.
You should sponsor this podcast.
I think I'd need more people to stop in here before we could agree to that. But I think that those scenes, the fact that I can pick out those specific scenes, the strudel scene, the opening scene, the scene where we meet the bastards for the first time. You get the bear Jew, that part. Like, I love that. Like, it's so good. And some people, I think, will think that Brad Pitt is cheesy, is a good place to or say, but I think he is perfect as Aldo. Like, I think he's incredible. I don't think he's doing too much. The bar scene is pivotal, is incredible. You get early Fassbender before he became Michael Fassbender.
Mhm.
I just love it.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that it ended up at number one for sure.
So where
It,
are
I think when I left watching that movie, I think you get such a kind of at the end I felt the similar at the end of Django and Inglorious Bastards, right? You
Mhm.
get that ending that you want to get.
Mm-hmm.
It closes real nice, like with lots of violence towards the bad guys.
Yeah.
Well, you could say that about Once Upon a Time too. Very
True,
fairy tale ending.
Mm-hmm.
true,
All right.
true,
So
true.
what's our biggest disappointments with this list? Joseph, what is something that you really wish that we would like more?
That you would like more?
Yeah, that me or Steven.
Run through the list for me one time real quick,
All
and I
right,
can
so
tell
If
you.
you had veto power to change something,
Okay.
move something up one spot without me and Cody having any say in it, what would it be?
all
I
right.
have an instinct, but run through the list for me real
All right,
quick.
Okay.
number one, Inglorious Bastards. Number 2, Pulp Fiction. Number 3, Jackie Brown. Number 4, Reservoir Dogs. Number 5, Kill Bill: The Whole Bloody Affair. Number 6, Django Unchained. Number 7, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Number 8, Death Proof. Number 9, Hateful Eight.
Okay. It would be Django for sure. I
Where
think Django is top tier of all the movies.
Do you think where would you move it?
I mean, I put it at 4,
Okay.
so at least one more spot, if not 2.
Okay. Steven.
We already know his Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe. I really like our top 3. I'm sad to leave Reservoir Dogs out, but I also understand why it would not make top 3. I'm almost would say to switch the 8 and 9.
Yeah, I was wondering if that's what you were going to go with.
To put Death Proof at the bottom.
I think Death Proof
But
is pretty polarizing.
I think I would also fully agree with this list. No debates. Switching Reservoir Dogs and Jackie Brown.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be perfect. I think a perfect. I think that I have to say that just the switch of Jackie Brown and Reservoir Dogs.
Okay. We all know what mine is.
Once upon a time.
Well, and to be honest, man, like I could see switching Django and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood solely because Django's so hard to watch. I could see so many people getting an hour into that movie and wanting to turn it off. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a lot easier to watch.
It is.
It's
It's
more
an easy
enjoyable.
watch.
So I would say if you switch Django and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, switch Jackie Brown and Reservoir Dogs, switch 8 and 9, perfection.
Yeah. So change the entire list.
Just a few switches.
Just a few.
I don't think you could ever put Once Upon a Time over Django, though, just purely on music.
Purely on music? What?
It got its own theme song, man.
Django.
Yeah, you don't hear that. You don't hear Cliff or the whatever his name was.
Cliff Booth. Rick Dalton.
Cliff Booth. Ring. You don't hear it.
He
Rick
gets all
Dalton.
his theme songs. He gets his Lancer theme song or whatever. Bounty Law.
Is that supposed to be the Rifleman parody?
It's a so
Or,
yeah. I mean it's a there was a lot of those kind of shows out there. FBI was a real show. Bounty Law was, I think
it wasn't real, was it?
Bounty Law wasn't real, no. But I think a lot of this is based off of like Burt Reynolds in that time.
You know, I kind of agree with Spencer. I think a switch between Once Upon a Time and Kill Bill, I could agree with as well.
Wow.
Like taking Kill Bill 2 down a notch?
Yeah, because um, Kill Bill 2 is not like as a standalone film is I don't know. Kill Bill 2 is low down for me when I guess when they're combined as one. I don't know. Oh, it's so tough.
I think
You got a pretty good list.
costumes and production design for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood are incredible, and it should be taken into consideration. I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood just needs to cook about 10 years, and then everybody's going to come back to it and be like, "This was a genius movie. It's number one."
Yeah, I'm afraid
They drove
that,
around
like,
in cars too much, man.
I'm afraid I'm gonna watch it for the third time, and the next time I'm on,
And you're going to hate it even more.
No, I'm gonna be your guest on like Jurassic Park or something like that. And at the very end, when you're like, "Hey, is there anything else you want to say?" I'm gonna have to be like, "Yeah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood should have been way higher on the list. Sorry." But,
Taylor Swift put out
you
a
know.
good song, but Once Upon a Time in the Hollywood had the best music video of the year.
Of the year.
I was gonna Kanye.
I like our list though. I think we get man. Jackie Brown should be high. I don't know about it being higher than Reservoir Dogs. Come on, guys. Come on.
The acting's not as great in Reservoir Dogs as I think.
What scene even brings it down acting wise?
Reservoir Dogs?
Reservoir
Yeah.
Dogs.
Point me at a scene that's like bad acting.
I would say not bad acting.
Dialogue. The dialogue is worse than Jackie Brown.
Yeah, well, I guess when he's like a lot of the like "I'm shot in the stomach" dialogue.
I was about to
is
say
not so
you're
great.
not gonna die. You're not gonna die. Say the fucking words. You're not gonna die.
Not Tim Roth's.
You're right. Okay. I agree. Yeah. And acting in Jackie Brown is top tier.
Top tier. That movie's
Top tier.
It
incredible.
really is. I think
Save the
Pam
career
Grier.
of Pam Grier and Robert Forster. Robert Forster was nominated.
Robert Forster was good too, but Pam Grier like steals the show. Like it's special.
I think, one thing as I look at the list, I know you can't see, bro, but like if somebody, just turned 21 and like had never seen a Tarantino movie, I think this would be kind of like a good order to
Like the recommendations?
yeah, like start with Inglourious Bastards, Everybody Hates Nazis, then show them Pulp Fiction to where like you're bringing these worlds together. Yeah. Show them Jackie Brown, show them Reservoir. I think this would be a great order to like introduce people to Quentin Tarantino into.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I like it. We did good work today. I only
hate
hate you guys slightly.
Pulp Fiction as much.
I'm gonna totally rewatch it with the most opened of minds.
I am so surprised on the Pulp Fiction take from Joseph. That's the most surprised I think I've been.
I'm surprised Reservoir Dogs is so low from both of you guys. Where was Reservoir? Remind me one more time. Where was Reservoir Dogs?
For me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty low. Let's see. Well,
fun.
we're doing as 10 movies. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 6th spot.
It was 5
as
for
10
me.
movies.
But here's the difference in my list and I think everybody else's list, and I said it earlier. 1 through 8 on these movies, in my eyes, are perfect movies. And I think Death Proof and Hateful.
I'm not quite there.
Mine is like that. And that's why you could explain away Kill Bill and tell me it is the most perfect movie of all time and put it at number one. I would be like, yeah, you have a good point there.
I think you're right. Like if you combine Kill Bill into one movie,
I think we're sleeping on two, like volume 2 of the Kill Bill thing. Like one's the
I
Flash.
like
I
Volume
don't know if I
2.
can
I like
call
volume
Once
2.
Upon a Time
I
in
think
Hollywood a perfect movie.
It's different.
I think
For
volume,
I like it for different reasons.
but I think we're sleeping on volume 2 a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's a better movie than we get it credit for. It just doesn't have the flashy.
The resolution
It doesn't have the
from
flashy
Bill
scenes.
onward
Yeah.
is incredible.
David Carradine's amazing in this movie. Then that's one
Well,
thing.
and I think that's a good point to make to like kind of wrap it up, is that like that's what makes these movies so good. As that even as we're talking about them now, I'm like, is Kill Bill as a whole movie better than Django? Like, it's just so we're really comparing apple. Like, that's what makes them so good, is they're so like they're coming from the same source,
Yeah.
right?
We're comparing apples and apples here.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
apples
different
and
flavors.
apples, Just different, like green,
apples,
Granny
green
Smith and Honeycrisp. But
You use
yeah,
great,
man,
yeah.
what a genius! What a
agree.
genius to create these stories that are so fun to think about, to revisit over and over again. Except Django and Death Proof.
I've rewatched it 4 times in the last week. It's my favorite thing to rewatch. Ever.
Man,
It's my favorite movie.
I could watch Inglourious Bastards over and over again.
I can watch that movie over and over again. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, folks, I think we did it. I think we ended up ranking
Somehow.
these movies. Somehow, you're absolutely right. I don't know how we did it, but we did it, and I had a great time. And I think we should do more of these. Maybe we can get a 4-camera action going on here.
Shout out Spencer.
Yeah, maybe get Spencer in on here to do this. Although I like having him in chat and giving us the fact checking. Not that that has to be his job forever, but I do like him being there. It gives me a little bit of purpose of doing this. So we should do it again. Maybe I don't know what we could do it with. We could do because
we'll come up with something.
So many directors out there. You've got the Coen brothers. You've got Spielberg. You've got Paul Thomas Anderson, who doesn't have a ton of movies out there. We could do any of these movies, and I'd love to talk to them with each and every one of you. So
can I propose something right now?
If it's marriage, I'm in.
I think I've heard in different circles, right, a debate going on for a little while now about who was the best Batman. So I'm thinking maybe we could do a foursome.
Okay.
Are we talking Clooney as the best Batman? Are we talking
I'm gonna go ahead and say bye because the dog's about to start barking. Sorry.
All right.
But I'm still here.
Get out of here.
Christian Bale. I think that we could visit something like that.
Yeah.
Has been the best Batman. So we'll get something for you.
We'll figure it out,
Spencer.
So, all right. Well, I thank each and every one of you for being here. I thank Steve and Joseph for being willing to do this and sacrifice their friendship with me to
anytime, brother,
to talk about this. But we'll definitely do this again sometime, and hopefully we'll get some more people in here watching and listening, and hopefully get a lot of interaction here. I thought this was a lot of fun. So if you want, you can follow me on Letterboxd. You can see the list that we made there on Letterboxd. Just look for me. It's CD Waits. Pretty easy to find, and you can follow along with our other programming, which is the 52/1993, where we're watching 52 movies from the year 1993, and we do that every Sunday. So look forward to seeing you all there, and you all have a good night. Thanks.